It's one thing to tell a commissioner how good things are going to be. It's another thing to have that commissioner come to town and kick the tires and see what we're really talking about, and that's what's happened today. Commissioner Bettman's been in town. He's seen what we're doing firsthand. We've taken him through Preview Center. We've taken him through detailed design drawings and plans for the arena, and we've also showed him the mother of all training centers. And I'll let him speak to that for just a moment. I also want to acknowledge Bill Daley, who is the Deputy Commissioner, and Bill has been such an important individual in our process of getting to this point, and so, Bill, we're grateful for that. But back to Commissioner Bettman, not only is he the longest-serving commissioner in sports, as we've said a couple of times today, he's also a member of the Hockey Hall of Fame, and we're so appreciative of you being here, and congratulations.
I'm the oldest, too. Well, in addition to what Todd laid out, we had a meeting with members of the local ownership group. We had a meeting with Mayor Durkin. We had a luncheon with a number of constituents who have either decided to participate or are thinking about it. I met with a number of depositors for the season tickets. And if you talk about in terms of kicking the tires are in great shape. We couldn't be more excited. When the board made the decision to come to Seattle, we knew it was the right decision. It would be a great decision, and everything that has transpired has not only lived up to expectation, but has exceeded our expectations. And we know as the building gets built, and the organization gets built, and the training facility gets built, and the connection with the community gets deeper, this is going to be great, not just for Seattle, but for the NHL as well. And on that note, I'm not here to break any news, but I'm more than happy, and Bill Daley is happy too, and Todd is as well, to take your questions.
I want to call out one other person, Deborah Juarez, and she was not only so important in getting the deal done, but D5 will be the home to our training center.
D5. I've learned about the geography of politics in Seattle. D5, very important. Thank you. Thank you for your support. Yes, your turn now.
Yes, what is it about Todd Lewicki that inspires confidence in you for his franchise?
Years and years of knowing him, years and years of working with him, and years of seeing him produce incredible results. Whether it was teams here in Seattle, his experience in Minnesota, or the fact that he took a franchise in Tampa Bay under new ownership, Jeff Vinnick, and took it from being perhaps the most underperforming team in the league to one of the best. He knows how to connect with fans. He knows how to build and work with a world-class organization. He is the consummate professional, and nothing short of excellence satisfies him. So there. Well, I've been listening to him all day give my CV. This turnaround is fair play, but I meant every word of it.
Commissioner, Bill Dahlman from Como Television and Como News. As you saw, there was a tremendous initial burst of enthusiasm, of course, with the...
Tremendous is an understatement.
It's fantastic, tremendous. You can use any adjective you like. What are the NHL's plans to continue to build on that momentum and not let that enthusiasm wane over time?
Well, it's really the Seattle NHL organization's efforts. I mean, we are going to be focused on the things that we can do at a league level, the introduction of league programs, and we have a variety, whether it's NHL Green or Hockey is for Everyone or Hockey Fights Cancer or future goals, in anticipation of the team coming. We're here to support the franchise, but ultimately the enthusiasm is going to come from within. And as the building continues to progress, and as the organization continues to build and get more involved in the community, and I have no doubt that there'll be events that you put on a regular basis, and as there's a frenzy over what the name's going to be, the period of time between now and dropping the puck on opening night in 21 is going to go a lot faster than people imagined. And whether it's Mortensen constructing or trademarking a name or getting people into their seat locations, there's a tremendous amount of work to do. And I think we have the right time frame to do it right. You can rush anything, but since this organization, from David Bonderman on down, particularly the local owners as well who live here, the emphasis is going to be on getting it right, not just getting it done fast.
Todd and his team are already integral members of the NHL community, and we're going to be pushing down programs to them. They're going to be leaning on us. They're members of the family already.
Andy Ide with NHLToSeattle.com. We talked about the season ticket depositors and how big of a splash that was. At the league, when you looked at this market, did you have any idea as far as metrics that, like, center ice subscriptions, things like that, that there was that interest here?
This is a great sports town. Everybody knows it. This is a place we've had our eye on for years and years and years. The problem was there was no place for us to play. And lots of people came to us with notions or ideas about a building, and none of those buildings ever materialized. With OVG and Todd's brother and David Bonderman and now Todd, the vision with the reality of having a building that was actually going to happen is what made this possible. As I've said, we look at ownership, check the box here, outstanding. We look at market, Seattle, fastest growing city in North America, great sports fans. You can look at the other franchises and see it. And actually, there's no real winter sport here now at the big four levels, so we're thrilled to do that. The arena is going to be first class, state of the art. Check that box. And will it make the league stronger? We believe coming to Seattle will make the NHL stronger. And so when you check those four boxes, this really was an easy decision. Hold my calls, please.
Through visiting Seattle today and talking with the mayor and kind of getting the nice tour of what's to come, nothing's been built yet. What was your impression just of what you're seeing without this team?
Well, actually, they're starting to do work on the arena. I've been to the preview center, and that's been built. It's not quite done yet, but that's been built. There are plans in place for the training and practice facility in District 5. And so, this is a big deal. I mean, the investment between the team and the arena and everything else is approaching $1.5 billion. These things don't happen overnight, particularly if you're going to do them right. Everything is tracking exactly as we hoped it would, and everything is going to turn out spectacularly.
Gary, Dave Mahler, KJR Radio. Welcome to Seattle.
Thank you.
What is your ETA, your preferred ETA on when the team name is announced, or is that totally up to these guys? Well,
we need some lead time, obviously, for the branding and creating a uniform and a logo and an identity. But, this is an era where trademarks, even in sports, but in anywhere, there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through to make sure you've got a good trademark. So they've got to come up with the branding that they're comfortable with, and I think they're going to go through a process that involves all the constituent groups, and then they could come up with a name that they think is the greatest name ever, and then it'll turn out that they can't trademark it. So this is going to be a process that is going to take time to do it right, but it's got to be done right. And so, I don't know, what's your timetable? A year? 18 months? 6 months?
In about 60 days, we're going to roll out a very special portal just for the depositors that's going to begin a very deep, iterative process with those depositors. And we're going to have them weigh in on all sorts of things. If I have my way, their fingerprints are going to be all over this franchise, certainly team name, but they're going to help us build this. And so that's going to be a big deal. And we then, for the depositors, will lay out a very, very detailed timeline taking us from that moment right to the puck drop. And there's a lot of things that will happen. And for them to see it laid out in such an organized way, and then our chance is to engage them and make sure that we're hearing from each and every one of those depositors, because at the end of the day, they are the people that gave wind to this franchise, put wind in our sails. And so Heidi Detmer's here, John Rizzardini, they're working on this night and day. And I think in that process, we absolutely get to team name. And I would suspect sometime in 2019, we will roll that out.
Do you have a suggestion you'd like to give? Kraken?
The Kraken.
Kraken.
What's your take on that, Gary? You like that name?
I'm going to reserve judgment.
Quick question.
But somebody, on the basis of what you just said, somebody's just run out to trademark it.
He already has, by the way. That's why I was asking.
Then our lawyers will see you later.
Commissioner Aaron Levine, Q13 Fox here in the middle. I guess a follow-up to that would be season ticket holders side. What would you name the team? Number one.
I'm not doing that. Stop it.
Keep pressing them. All right, I'm interested.
And number two,
I get to approve it, but I don't have to come up with it.
and have the expansion rules been finalized? Will Seattle have the same exact rules as Vegas did?
Same rules as Vegas. It was important to us to ensure that every team in our league, including an expansion team, come in with a team that can be competitive. As with Vegas, you'll be able to, the existing 30 teams, Vegas doesn't participate, the prior 30 teams will be able to protect one goaltender and 7 forwards and 3 defensemen, or one goaltender and 8 skaters, and players 2 years and less don't have to be protected. So it's going to be the same rules.
Todd, are you working with a branding company on the name of the team? And if so, what is it?
Yeah, we've had different firms help us on different parts of this, but you know, the Seattle Times, we had thousands of submissions, and so and we've got a subset group of owners who are thinking this through, and we're going to be deliberate. We're going to take our time. And, you know, people ask me a lot about the team name. They sometimes call it the brand. The brand for this team is all the pieces that will make up and make a player proud to pull on that team name. And we've got big decisions on other things. When we bring hockey staff on, and all of those things will be, cumulatively, will help us build the brand we're dreaming about building.
And what name do you like? Yeah. Oh, you see, it's not so easy.
Greg Bell, the News Tribune. Mr. Bettman, it sounds like you're encouraging fans to be thinking like the Vegas. It might be a Vegas-type setup the first year Stanley Cup final. Todd?
No. I said competitive. What happened, there were other things at play last year in Vegas. This team, from an emotional standpoint, started in the wake of a terrible tragedy in Vegas, and I think everybody in the community and the players felt it. And I think some of what they accomplished last year was on a energy and drive and emotion that wasn't typical, although they're playing well this year. Who knows what's going to happen? There's a reason we play the games. But this team will have the opportunity under the rules that are the same for Vegas to accomplish whatever they're capable of. I have no doubt that the organization, from a hockey standpoint, that's going to be put together will be first class in terms of development, scouting, training, and they're going to be able to compete. Who knows how far they're going to go in first year.
Todd, do you welcome, hi again, do you welcome that expectations?
Well, we have great admiration for what they did there, and it didn't happen by chance. Commissioner Bettman more than once has talked about the tragedy that happened about a week and a half before they puck dropped. And I don't think opening night was what they anticipated, but an amazing thing happened. The team owned it, and Vegas 1 was born that night, and Las Vegas needed that team to step forward, and they did. They owned it the whole year, and I think that's why I love sports, but I specifically love hockey players, is that there's inspiration in this game, and they found it there. So we admire what they've done, and I think George McPhee's remarkable in what he's done, and that ownership gets credit for recruiting that group. And, you know, Dave Tippett's here. We're working away on building out our hockey staff right now. And I watch games almost every night and look and dream, you know, some of those players are going to be wearing Seattle across their chest, and it's a pretty cool thing.
I think it's important to understand, too, that while the rules will be the same, the way the 30 clubs approach those rules in terms of protections and how they approach the expansion draft will be different. I think we hadn't had an expansion draft since the late 1990s. I think a lot of our clubs didn't know what to expect and might do it differently this time around. So I think that's a different factor as well.
Gary, Art Teal, Sports Press Northwest. You've had a long relationship with David Stern. What did he tell you about Seattle?
I don't know that we've ever discussed it. No, come on. If you're asking me, did he ever say, "Oh, don't go there"? No. No. I came in my prior life. I came to Seattle numerous times, so I'm not an expert on what transpired, and I don't see any reason to go there. We're thrilled to be coming here. We think Seattle's great, and whatever happened in prior sports and with prior teams, as far as I'm concerned, is water under the bridge. It's not anything that I focus on or is of a concern to us. That may not be the answer you wanted, but I'm sorry. Yeah,
Commissioner?
Yes.
Sorry, Ryan Harris from Como Radio, and since you'll probably ask, I lean towards Seattle Sockeyes. I'm wondering where we stand.
I wasn't going to ask you, but thanks for bringing it up.
Well, you've asked everybody else.
Well,
I'm wondering where we stand with a collective bargaining agreement and avoiding a lockout that could happen as early as this fall.
Can't happen this fall. The notice for the trigger for the reopener, our collective bargaining agreement currently expires in 2022. Either side can reopen for 20 by notice next September. So it's not imminent. I'm not in favor of having a difficult negotiation. I hope we can extend or renew with minimum fanfare, and I'm not a fan of work stoppages. Although we do have to have a system that works and keeps the game healthy and vibrant and entertaining as it is now. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not looking for a fight. Thank you.
Commissioner Jessamine McIntyre, 710 ESPN Seattle. What's the reception been like around the league from the other franchises upon learning Seattle is going to get a team?
Well, actually, they all had a vote for it, so I assume, and it was unanimous, so I assume they're as excited as we are. Overwhelmingly, the Board of Governors, which represents all the other teams, believed that this was a great decision for the league, as it is, we hope, for Seattle.
Since Seattle doesn't have, right here, Seth Sommerfeld, Seattle Weekly. Since Seattle doesn't have the strongest hockey infrastructure, just in terms of like public sheets of ice and general fan knowledge of the game, what moves are going to be taken on the league's behalf to kind of build up that core infrastructure in the city, or is that more a public?
Well, first of all, the team has started that process by building what will be the first 3 sheets of ice in Seattle proper with the training facility. There are a variety of programs. We have a program with USA Hockey, which is Try Hockey for Free. And if you look at what's happened in Dallas or Nashville or the Florida franchises, rinks will get built, and when you build it, they will come. And you will see when we come to an area, registrations for USA Hockey, particularly at the youth level, are at all-time highs. That's in part a reflection of the fact that the NHL is in more places than it's ever been before, and where we have franchises, hockey develops at all levels, which means there'll be more rinks built and more people, particularly young people, will play. You know, a good example is Arizona, where Dave Tippett was. Austin Matthews, who's one of our star players, playing for Toronto, will tell you that if it wasn't for the Coyotes, he never would have played hockey, and he wouldn't be an NHL player. You will see that over time develop. And if this franchise is going to be as successful as we know it will be, having the community involved and having hockey at all levels is a good thing. I also understand that there's a pretty vibrant couple of leagues, at least here, of amateurs, adult leagues, children leagues playing. There are a few thousand young people registered with USA Hockey. There's hockey here, including with the WHL in nearby communities. It will grow, and the mere presence of this team will cause it to grow.
Chris Daniels with King TV, and it's actually a follow-up to your question. The Northgate development has kind of been an understated aspect of all of this with that training facility that you were just discussing. Is there any way you can put into perspective how the blueprints on that and what you've seen stack up with some of the other teams in other markets?
Well, I'll let Todd talk about the specifics more, but in terms of the plans that I've seen and the vision in terms of the 3 sheets of ice and, you know, having 1,000 seats in the principal rink for the team to practice on and the space for training facilities and team offices and all that, this is going to be a state-of-the-art facility, which will be good for the community because the team obviously isn't practicing on all 3 sheets 24/7. And I believe that they will see such use of the ice that they're going to wind up focusing in not too distant after it's open on building more sheets of ice just to keep up with the demand.
What district is that in again?
District 5.
And Chris, we're going to have a media league, and we look forward to seeing you out there. Okay, no baskets allowed and no double blades. All right, so you got to learn to skate. But you know that I think when we know our building's going to be full every single night, and if we deliver the kind of organization I think we're going to, that building will be full every night for a long time to come. The dream we have is growing the game. And when he tells the story of a guy wearing a Maple Leafs jersey who that started in the desert in Arizona, that's really part of our dream of the training center is can we create the next Olympian, men or women, and it's really a wonderful part of this. We're committed to growing the game. We think the game actually teaches lifelong lessons. We're going to have an interleague. We're going to talk to Deborah about a First Nations league. And so there's a lot of ambition we have around growing the game.
One of the things, let me just add, and it's not a direct answer to the question, our clubs are typically very involved in the community, whether it is Hockey Fights Cancer or NHL Green or Hockey is for Everyone, our inclusive program, or it's Future Goals, which is a STEM program that we use hockey for in the schools. The fact of the matter is our teams go about trying to make the quality of life in the communities in which they're located better. And we like to use the values of the game. We had a declaration of principles that we issued a year and a half ago that 17 hockey governing bodies worldwide signed on to, where we all adhere to the values of our game and how they can make a difference in people's lives, particularly young people. And by that, I'm talking about leadership, teamwork, discipline, getting an education, physical fitness. These are all important life lessons. And these lessons are not about creating hockey fans, but they're about making a difference in the lives of young people.
Gary, Tim Booth from the Associated Press. Yes. Rare. I know there are different markets between Seattle and Vegas, but was there anything that was learned in the creation and launch of that Vegas franchise specifically that you'd like to see either Seattle follow or you would like to see Seattle do differently?
We learned that the expansion rules worked in terms of creating a competitive team from the outset. And I think what we've learned, every market's different, and what they do, particularly for game presentation in Vegas, is extraordinary, but it's very appropriate for Vegas. I'm not sure it works in all of our other markets, but it was a commitment by ownership and management to do things in a first-class way and to be involved in the community. And that's exactly what this organization is going to do and has started doing.
Gary, follow-up to a follow-up.
You have another name you want to suggest?
Can I ask you one thing on that, though?
No.
You mentioned at the press conference on the East Coast that you do have a division named the Metropolitan Division. Can we rule out that name?
You know, viscerally, yes, but I never say never to anything.
My question would be, and Todd talked about the things they have planned between now and 2021. What does the league have planned in Seattle, and is it possible you guys could have maybe an outdoor classic down the road at T-Mobile Park?
Before they start playing?
Yeah.
No, I doubt that. I have enough existing clubs that want an outdoor game that haven't had one yet. But we've already been petitioned for things like a draft and an all-star game and an outdoor game. And those, at least 2 of the 3 will get on the calendar for the Seattle franchise and for Seattle at some point. Outdoor game, as I'm looking at the rain, there are two things that are a problem for us with outdoor games, right? We've done games in Southern California, so not necessarily the heat being a problem, but the two problems that we can't deal with are sun glare. Well, that's not a problem here. And rain. And we can play in snow. Rain's a problem. So we're going to have to study whether or not it's feasible. But
There's a roof on the baseball field.
yeah, but then it's not an outdoor game, right? then it's just a big game, which I'm not ruling it in or out. I mean, just the point is, but as it relates to an all-star game and a draft, those are things we're going to have to get on the calendar.
Gary, when you're adding a 32nd franchise, there could be some concern about talent level throughout the league, but it seems like there's young stars coming through. Is there any concern at all, or have you heard any concern about just
None.
in
fact, I believe, I'll have these stats right, and my communications guys will correct me if I'm wrong. I think half the players in the league now are under the age of 25. 20 of the top 22 scorers are like 23 or younger. I mean, we are blessed with perhaps the deepest talent pool we've ever had. And we have, as I think you all know, a worldwide talent pool. Somewhere in the mid-40s of our players' percentage come from Canada, 28% from the U.S. and 28% from Europe, Russia. And we're the best hockey league in the world. The best players in hockey in the world come to play in our league. And as a result, we don't have a shortage of talents. And by the way, watch the games. Goal scoring's up. Comebacks from multi-goal deficits are at an all-time high for this point in the season. All the vital stats about the game are strong, but that's because our players have never been more talented.
Marmote from the Seattle Sports Commission with the hard hitter. What are your I fell in love with hockey moments?
Well, as a young child, I grew up in New York, right? And we've always had the benefit of teams in each of the majors, and sometimes multiple teams in majors. I remember going to the old Madison Square Garden, and this will really tell you how old I am. In the public schools, back in the 50s and 60s, you got this thing called a GO card. And for 50 cents, you could go see any event at Madison Square Garden and sit up at the top. But I did go to Cornell University, and the Ivy League schools are not known for football. They're not known for basketball, occasionally lacrosse or soccer, but hockey is what is competed at a national level. And you know, I was a season ticket holder at Liner Rink for 4 years. You had to get on Hockey Line. You had to sleep out for 1 or 2 nights. Watching the game, while I'd always been a fan, but watching the game in a 4,000-seat rink and the level of passion for the game really exploded there. Good question, though. Thanks.
Question for Todd. Now that the new arena has been approved and it's officially underway, have all the concerns from the neighborhood or environmentally been allayed, and is everyone getting on board and getting excited? Are you encountering any other roadblocks that could?
Well, we met with all the Seattle Center staff, which was really a cool thing. They've told for a long time.
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, we did that today, too. It's been a long day.
We met with them in McCall Hall, and, you know, it's important for me because I think they've been through a long and hard and difficult road of uncertainty, being told that one of the centerpieces of this complex perhaps wasn't worthy. Well, it's now going to be worthy, and I think the nobility of this project to be in Seattle Center is real. And so we're very excited, and you know, I think the game experience that we'll have here in Seattle Center is potentially second to none. We're going to change Seattle Center, the south part of the building, which is now where the loading dock is, and trucks and you know, antiquated buildings, all comes down, and that becomes the grand entryway. And Ken Johnson's here. He's leading the charge on the development of it. Mortensen's on board and picking up speed every day, and we're really excited. We haven't done the job we need to in telling the story of how great this building's going to be. We're going to do it with our depositors in this new portal we're creating, but we've got to tell people. I still hear people calling it a renovation, and it is anything but that.
I said new arena.
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
Same roof, though.
Jose Moreno, CNN International. How important is it going to be to get Seattle in an NHL All-Star game as soon as possible, given that they're making the investment on a new arena and they're bringing hockey to the Pacific Northwest?
We've promised an All-Star game to Seattle within how many years?
7 years.
Within 7 years of playing. It doesn't mean we're going to wait 7 years. We've got to look at scheduling both ours and in terms of the city's availability to host all our guests in hotels and everything. But we're going to be bringing league events here. This is where we want to be.
Excuse me just one second.
A follow-up to that. We were wondering how soon can we get the draft here, and how important is it going to be for you to be here for that?
We're looking at when it would be appropriate to bring the draft here. Obviously, we need to have an expansion draft, so we're looking at the possibilities. Nothing's been decided. I'm not making any announcement. That's a really good question, even if you were put up to it. But yeah, obviously we're coming with the draft soon. Draft, my guess is, will be sooner than the All-Star game. Okay? Is that okay? Is there anything, Todd, you'd like him to ask as well?
Good question.
Well, lots of things we all want.
Gary, you have several teams that cohabit with the NBA in their buildings. While each market is unique, can you talk about assets and liabilities with that?
Depends on market size, but this arena is being built, as I'm told and understand it, that it can handle an NBA team if in fact the NBA chooses to come back. But it's not something I concern myself with, because this building will be ready to house our NHL team, and we're excited about that. And whether or not the NBA chooses to come back to Seattle isn't something I'm focused on.
Gary, Mike Lewis from Cara Radio.
Yes.
Does the NHL, one of the concerns about the arena generally has been access and traffic in this area. Does the NHL concern itself with that regarding arena access and the flow of people to and from and getting to the events, or is that nothing, that's something for the locals to handle, not for the NHL
Well,
to worry
actually,
about?
it's something that we focus on in terms of the viability of the project, but I'm told that this isn't going to be an issue.
Well, part of our agreement with the city is we're going to invest tens of millions of dollars in transportation enhancements. We're also going to take a real proprietary interest in this. And with technology and the connection we're going to have with our season ticket members, we think that, by the way, traveling to a venue in an urban setting is different than going to a suburban location and a sea of parking. We're proud of where the building is, and if it takes someone 10 minutes longer each way, we think it'll be worth it because of this brilliant setting where this building is. But it's something we're taking serious. We are intending on bringing on staff a very senior position that's going to lead our transportation efforts, and won't build just a master plan, but will manage transportation event after event. And we're confident that transportation is not going to be a barrier for our fans having a great experience.
Also, this arena's been here for how many years? I mean, I don't see why all of a sudden it should become an issue.
Well, the city's grown substantially in the last 10 years.
Well, but that's a good thing in terms of having public transportation and not having people have to go privately by car.
Have you driven here yet?
Yes.
Well, I will say to that, the city has grown, and we're seeing intense density around the building. And I can't state the exact number, but it's a double-digit percentage of depositors live within a very narrow radius of the building. We're proud that it's an urban building, and we're proud we have the only building in a park in the entire world. And transportation is a question we could ask. We're taking it serious, and we're going to make sure it's not a barrier for our fans.
Any additional questions?
Great. Thank you all for coming out today. I'm sure we'll have many more opportunities to get together, certainly when we drop the puck on opening night, but I'm sure many times between now and then. We appreciate your interest, your coverage, and your enthusiastic support.
Thank you.